You're listening to Super Power Up with multidimensional master, superpower expert, and former counterintelligence agent, Tonya Dawn Recla. If you're ready to disrupt reality, then sit down, strap in, and prepare to experience the show that proves there is no spoon.
Hello, everyone. This is Tonya Dawn Recla, your superpower expert, and I'm excited today. You know me. I'm always excited. I get to talk to the coolest. I have the neatest, let me back up. I thought at one point in time I had the coolest job in the world when, I was running around chasing spies and doing all that fun stuff as a counter-intel agent. But I really have the coolest job in the world now, being the executive director of Superpower Experts, but mostly being able to host a show like this and just talk with amazing people. And it's just remarkable. So, and I know you all feel that. You've been along on this journey with us for quite a while now. But today we're talking about bending and shaping reality, right? What are you talking about, Tonya? Where are you going with this? Well, the reason we're talking about this today is because I have the most remarkable guest. Ilana Bissonnette is here, and she has developed the Ilana's Backbending Method. And when we're talking backbending, I don't mean like how most of us do it, like you kind of lay on the floor and you move your body a little bit and you're like, oh, I'm bending my back. No. She's bending her back and showing people how to do this in a way that opens you up, right? It's, healing. We know how this stuff works. Like, we've got to figure out the mechanics of these bodies and what they really are and what they're really not. And this is her space. And I'm always fascinated talking with the body people because that just so wasn't my space for the longest time. And so I love hearing about their journeys. And I know you're going to love hearing about her journey also. She's remarkable. We could brag about her all day long. But in addition to being one of the top 100 most influential vegans, I thought that was awesome. She's an activist. She also has a son that's remarkable.
That's my son, actually. Those are my son's achievements.
Oh, yes. My goodness. I'm so glad that you said that. Daniel, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to take that away from you.
Yeah, those are his achievements.
Mine Daniel,
directly, right?
I lost Daniel to Neva, right? So Neva's going to want to interview him on her show, Superpower Kids. And I love this idea of really modeling that for our children. And so, that's near and dear to my heart. So we're excited to talk to Ilana about that. But in addition to her backbending method, she is this amazing woman she's taken life by the hands and she's just running with it. And so, listen in, folks, you're going to love this ride. Ilana, thank you so much for joining us.
It's such an honor and a pleasure. This is going to be fun.
Beautiful, beautiful. I am so glad that you corrected me on Daniel's achievements. I'm excited for him. And you let him know that he's welcome to come on my show too. But if I don't let Neva interview him first, then I'll never hear the end of it. So he is welcome to come on my show and talk about his activism and everything else as well. And again, Daniel, my apologies. Not to take anything away from you. Ilana, thank you. This feels like it's been a long time coming. So I'm really excited to share this space with you right now.
Me too.
Beautiful. Well, let's jump in and say, what are your superpowers?
I backbend. That's simple. I backbend and I tap into just insane superpowers. And it's something that I have discovered. I have been a fitness and a health fanatic for like 2 decades. So I've been doing all kinds of things. And yes, I've been backbending over the years. But like in the past year, I would say, or a little less, I took it to, I would say, a more unusual level. Kind of past yoga, and it has transformed me in a way that I don't even know how to begin and talk about it. But basically, I started sharing some of that on social media, and people just lit up, and it just went from there. And I got invited on podcasts and speaking and writing segments for books, and literally, my brain lit up, my whole system. To the creative energy that was flowing through me was insane. I knew I tapped into something really significant that's not talked about, that's not touched upon. And so I would experience all these things. And then I started researching it, and I was just blown away. And I realized that is the missing link in our society today.
I
So
love it. Well, I don't want to get too far into the secrets because I want to dive into that when we come back from break.
yes.
But what I find fascinating about this is immediately, like I knew, right? Like you had a chat with Justin and he's like, you have to talk to this woman. I'm like, all right, what does she do? Well, she does this backbending thing. And I'm like, okay, but I just knew, like, I could feel it from you. And folks, we're not talking about stretching. Like I hear it, I feel it, I know it. And I think it's okay that on some level it's not totally clear and you're not totally clear, because as a collective, we haven't been doing this. Like we haven't been there's no space in it. You're creating that space. And I just really want to share with the listeners what Ilana's speaking to is this magic that happens when you find your gap. When you all of a sudden get into this perfect mix of the right vibration, the right frequency, the right knowledge base, the right experiences, the right amount of surrender, the right willpower, like all that stuff kind of comes together. It's this perfect storm. And that's where you build every time. And it's like that's where we get these like overnight successes that take 10 years, right? Like you just kind of slip into this space. It's like, right? And it's this little amazing, miraculous collision of juiciness that is, that's the holy grail for so many of us. And so that's what we're talking about today. But before we dive too deeply, let's just let people know where they can go to find out more about you, and then take a break so we aren't hindered in our discussion. So Ilana, share with people what a website or somewhere they can go to find out more about you.
Okay, so my website, thebackbender.com, is coming. And for now, I think Facebook would be the best place to be plugged in to.
Perfect.
To what I'm up to, and it's Ilana Bissonnette, my name. So
perfect, and we can link that too. So make sure you go to superpowerexperts.com to this episode page, and we will link her Facebook there. For right now, folks, so we are talking with Ilana Bissonnette, and you are not going to want to miss this conversation when we come back. But we're talking about bending and shaping reality. So stay with us, and we'll be right back after the break. Hello, everyone. This is Tonya Dawn Recla, Executive Director of Superpower Experts, and we want to thank each of you for making Superpower Up the #1 podcast network for personal development and spiritual growth. Because people like you have the courage to say that mindfulness, healthy living, disrupting reality, the pursuit of consciousness, responsible entrepreneurship, and radical parenting matter, we now amass over 1 million downloads monthly in more than 90 countries. Our numbers keep growing because there are far more people willing to live divergently than mass media wants to acknowledge. For you, the change makers, the light bearers, the way showers, we say thank you. If you're ready to take the next step in your evolution, go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower Quiz. And as Ilana Recla, our youngest podcaster, likes to remind us, remember, we all have superpowers and we can change the world. Awesome, folks. We're back. You're listening to Disrupt Reality. I'm Tonya Dawn Recla, and I have with me the amazing, incomparable Ilana Bissonnette today, talking about bending and shaping reality. And she disclosed to us prior to the break about this kind of back-bending journey she's been on. And you can feel it, right, folks? Like you can feel this like spark inside of her, but it's kind of like, I don't get it. Like you're bending your back. Like explain to me how that comes about. And so right now, Ilana, if you will, just kind of take us on that journey a little bit. How did I hear from you, like things changed dramatically recently, but even the inception point of how do you get into bending your back?
That's like the weirdest story. So,
of course it is.
It is the weirdest story. And I'll rewind a little bit to just give people background on how I've attained a certain level of fitness and how backbending is not something for yoga people. It's not just something for people that are into fitness. I speak of it as a highest form of self-development, as a way that we can reprogram our subconscious mind on the deepest level, rewrite our DNA. We can master our emotions, master ourselves mentally, transform our body, literally channel this immense energy that we can tap into that becomes available to us when our spine is aligned. Those are some of the things that I'm talking about. I'm talking about real superpowers, like when you're able to tap into this infinite life force, and that's beyond the energy that we get from food and we get from oxygen. that's when you understand what superpowers really mean. Okay. People wake up.
Oh, go ahead. I just have a gazillion questions, but please finish
people wake
with
up
that.
in the morning, they'll reach out for coffee. They'll go for sugar. They need stimulants. Like, oh, I need some to wake up. Or like, I'm talking about you're waking up on the deepest level, and it's not stimulants. And when I started doing this, the things I started to experience, like my brain was just lit up. I would run and grab my phone and I would just write endlessly. And it wasn't like, you get your high and you get your crash. Like I was on it like all day long, and I would like lie down in bed and like my brain was just lit up. Like it was something I've never experienced before. And like all my systems were just like in sync. Like my sleep was better. Like, I mean, I needed to eat a lot less because I was getting so much more energy. It's that energy that becomes available to us, and that channel is our spine. And I can go on about this for a while, but you had questions. So ask me your questions and
I do. I have so many questions. So I know a lot of times, like we kind of call it this like selective amnesia thing that happens when people do personal or spiritual development. And they get to these places where they're like, oh, this is all we need, right? Here's the secrets in the back. And, what we typically find when we dig into those stories is that there's also all these other elements of development along the way. So we've talked a little bit about your son, Daniel. You have other passions and things that you're driven by and all of this other stuff. And so the truth typically lies like in this beautiful culminated package. But I feel like what you're saying is that in the backbending process, what you've discovered is like the channel, the pathway, right? And so all these ancillary things for sure occur. Like obviously you're extremely disciplined internally, you're driven, all of those components are there. And what it feels like is this awareness of kind of how to harness that universal energy for the body is kind of how I would package it. How do you even start walking people toward that? I mean, is that, okay. I know that's the work that you do, correct?
Yes, that's what I do. I work with people and I help them basically backbend as not just backbending, but combining backbending, nutrition, and detox to open up that channel and to tune into their ultimate self. So to stretch their limits and unfold their ultimate self. That's what I help people do. Backbending is one of the most powerful tools. Most people are familiar with it just on a very slight level when it comes to yoga, but one of the greatest yoga masters of all time started teaching backbending later on, and he explained that backbending is something very different. It's not your typical yoga, and it takes a certain type of personality. It's like not every horse is meant to be a racehorse, because there's certain type of characteristics that are required for this type of practice. But what it will give you is literally the superpowers. I mean, those people that have the discipline to do that, they're not going to be bothered by the things that normal people are bothered by. They develop this insane discipline. It's all subconscious. It's all subconscious. So you're always going to the unknown, into the subconscious mind, and you're always rewriting it. And so things like that, but I want to bring it to anybody. I'm not just here to say it's only for the select few, because we live in a forward head posture age. We all have the text neck, the nerd neck, the tech neck, whatever, you call it. It's the forward head posture. For every inch that we tilt our head forward, and we're always on our phones, we're always on our devices, we're always doing things that are forcing us forward, it adds an extra 10 pounds on our head. And so it puts an enormous amount of weight in our spine. And so we're walking around like these broken antenna all day long, and it's affecting our organs. It's affecting how we function. It's affecting how we think. And so I did a little bit of research for fun, and I found that they've done a study. It was a Harvard study, and there's a TED Talk with like 55 million plus views on it by Amy Cuddy. She talks about posture, just changing your posture for 2 minutes, and how that affects the body. And so they found that people that they call the expensive posture had a straight posture just for 2 minutes. It would change their whole biology and increase testosterone, decrease cortisol. So they were actually developing leadership qualities Like they're changing their biology to affect to create these leadership qualities. And so if we're walking around with the text neck all day and we're constantly like closed up, and that's affecting us, like our body's constantly telling our brain things about how we're feeling. And those are very negative feelings. And so maybe like we're into like self-development and we're like reading stuff, or we're listening to the world's greatest motivational speakers about that there's greatness in us. But if we're like sitting all curled up with a text neck, and like our body, our brain is interpreting that as like, you're not feeling well, you're not feeling empowered, you're in a weak position. You're victim, you feel like a victim and all these things. And so we have to understand that our body communicates an enormous amount of things to our brain. It's mind over matter. Yes, there's the whole game of mind over matter, but it's also like the evolutionary. Our body is meant to signal things to our brain. And so if we just change our posture, we can change our life. But the posture is not easy to change, because it's something that we have created a habit over so many years of having a poor posture, and the muscles are been so weakened. It's like a paper roll that you've rolled and put in your closet for a couple of years, and then, or whatever, a month or two, and then you take it, you unroll it. What does it do as soon as you let go? It just rolls back up, right?
I love that analogy. That's brilliant.
And so the only way to make sure that paper remains flat again is to roll it backwards. Use the same mechanism to roll it backwards. And that's why backbends are so needed, because we're always closed up. And so we have to open up these channels. How
much of this do you feel, or are you consciously aware of, was guided by the divine? Like, where did you get messages, or were you consciously aware?
Really good question, because I was going to enter a completely different field. Okay. It was like women's empowerment, and it was relating to feminine, masculine energies and what's happening in our world today with that. And I was writing a book on that, and I got stuck in one point, and I'm like, I use my practice as a way to like go deep into my core essence and my soul to discover what I'm supposed to do, because I was stuck. And I was just so blown away with what was happening to me with the backbending. I'm like, this is it. This is the answer. This is what I'm supposed to bring to the world. And so I started sharing a little bit on my social media, and the response I got was just crazy,
Well, what's so cool is that it incorporates all those other components, the balance of the masculine and feminine energies, women's empowerment, like all of that stuff. And so what I love is, like, I think that, Source is one of the best branding experts in the world. And so it's, or in the multiverses, because it knew what it was doing, in the sense that, so what, like women's empowerment, it's been done, balance of masculine, feminine energies. Those are conversations that are happening. I mean, we have a whole network of those conversations. And what you were gifted with was this awareness around, okay, but how do we channel that? How do we really, like, we need the mechanisms for it.
Exactly.
We have these instruments and we don't know how to use them, right? And so we can intellectualize it, but if we can't embody it, what's the point?
Once we're in alignment, like just our own spine being aligned, it's amazing what flows through us. I mean,
I don't doubt that at all. I mean, this is like nth level. Like, I mean, folks, you've seen the pictures of her and stuff that are on the site as you look at the episode, and it's not stretching, right? Like it is, but it as we talk about here, there's a multidimensionality to it.
It's a multidimensional self-development.
So we hinted a little bit. So I really want to talk to the listeners who are right now going, oh, that sounds amazing, but I can't do that. I can't do it. All of the excuses that we come up with. Where does somebody start if they want, if they're like, that speaks to me, lights my body up. Where do I even begin?
Yeah. You begin with like just really, really simple. stretches. I'm actually not expecting everybody to get to that level. You don't need to. I have a story why I got to that level, and but most people, if they can just open up their spine again, what that's going to do to their body is going to be miraculous. And so I've developed a series of very simple stretches that are not dangerous. You're not going to fall. You're not going to break anything. They're really simple. They're really practical. And I start people on 2 minutes a day doing a bench, back bend, or on a chair. So we're utilizing gravity, and it's balance, there's stability, and just to kind of start opening things up. And really, someone can take it as far as they want to take it, but they don't have to take it to the level I've taken it.
So let's now talk to all the people that we just lost because they're bored with the idea of taking it slow, and they're going, no, I want to do that. Now let's talk to those people, because we have, this is the Disrupt Reality Search. So we have this wide continuum of people. And I know those of you who are out there that if it's not big and the baddest and the highest and the fastest, like, you're not doing it. And so talk to those people, because I feel like that's really your space there.
Yeah. So I got a bodybuilder who's competing shortly in a few months, and he's doing it because he's got back pain and he needs an edge over like men in their 20s. So he's doing it, and for him it's extremely difficult because he's just built so much muscle over the years in his back, and it's so stiff, but he's so committed. So I got people like that. Then I have like a CEO of a company that's like, wants to tap into something different. He's been athletic his whole life, but he's never experienced anything like that. So we'll see where that takes his creativity. I got like a girl that's just fascinated. She wants to take it as far as I am. And she's so committed, and she's training, and she's sending me like, her progress all the time. And it's just so cool to see that. So everyone has kind of their goals. And also, once you tap into this infinite energy source, you can channel it into every area of your life. You can channel that immense energy and creativity into your business or your relationships, whatever it is that you want to do, you will have that much more of you to give. And it's going to be the best version of you to give. There's not going to be, the reason why people don't do well, they don't get along well, is because they don't feel well. They lack the energy, so they have to get it from other sources. That's how we get into arguments, because people actually try to get someone else's energy because they don't have enough.
Beautiful.
Right?
Beautiful. I love that. So let's talk a little bit as we're wrapping up here on remarkable children and yours in particular. Tell us about Daniel.
I've worked with Daniel the past few years, the past 5 years. He started when he was 9, speaking publicly, and 12, he was ranked in the top 100 most influential vegans. At 13, he won the Shining World Leadership Award for Compassion. He finished his 2nd book recently. Yeah, it's been a really exciting journey, but I had to become the person that I became in order to raise a son like that. I wasn't the person I am today always.
I love that reminder. When shortly after Neva was born, Justin and I were pulled aside by a spiritual teacher, and he said, I have a message for you. And we said, okay. And he said, if you don't do what you're here to do, she can't do what she's here to do. And it was like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, it was smack dab in your face, like, talk about parenting guilt, right? It's like, yes. But like, and I kind of bristled up a little bit. I was like, what? I've done a few things in my life. Like, I have a master's degree. I was a counterintel agent. Like, I've done a few things, but it's like, it sounded, even in my own thoughts, it sounded so petty. It was like, wait a second, like, really feel this. Like, I could feel the truth in what he was saying. It's like, yes. Wow.
I think
the journey.
There is nothing that will take more out of your thing than parenting.
It's been a blast. And it's funny because, she makes it extremely easy. The challenging part, the any sort of friction part is just in the personal growth that's required. It really, parenting Neva is like, I mean, it's someone one time called her the unchild. It was like,
Yeah.
because she was throwing a little fit. I was like, oh my gosh, she's throwing a fit, and she's like, wait, that's a fit? Like, wait a second. And she just, we're just very, very compatible, and so that was easy. And again, Source knows what it's doing in the sense that I don't think we could have handled the very extreme development and kind of personal growth that was required on top of having a non-synergistic relationship with your child. So there's a give and take there. But I think that what I really appreciate about you and your relationship with Daniel is exactly that you're very clear that it is a synergistic thing. It is a kind of the energy flows both directions. There's this natural feedback loop. And if we don't model that, if we don't pursue it, if we don't enhance, embrace it and embody it, then they don't have examples. The world isn't showing people this yet, but the world sure has enough data and proof to the limitations. If you go looking for them, you have to really want to see what's possible. And for our children, we're a lot of the times as that first line of defense in showing them that. It takes incredible courage. I'd imagine you met up against a good deal of resistance along the way.
Daniel is not an easy kid to parent. He is extremely brilliant and gifted, but he is an extreme alpha male too. So it's, people always come up to me like, oh, you must be so proud. I'm like, I don't know if I'm proud. It's the least I expect with what I put in.
Yeah. And it's funny because in our own way, yeah, it's not. And that's, people be like, oh my gosh, she's so amazing. I'm like, she absolutely is. Like, and it's just, I feel very honored to be walking beside her. But at the end of the day, I don't really feel like I can take credit. I'll take credit for, playing my part, but beyond that, it's just remarkable. But to your credit though, the other aspect of it that I think people tend to ignore, and Neva's gotten very vocal in her keynotes and stuff about this, is that she's been trained. Like there was work. Like she did the work. We did the work as a family. We did the work.
Absolutely.
And so what we're experiencing now is a 10-year ROI, but we invested during that time. Like, so it's like, so she'll get on stage and say, you cannot expect your kids to know how to act in a business conference or write a book or run a business or anything else if you're not training them how to do that. Like it's just an unrealistic expectation.
Yes.
And so it's so kudos to you for persevering, especially if it wasn't easy, and
this is what we're talking about here, is how to tap into this infinite energy and then channel it in the right way.
Beautiful. And kudos again to you, to Daniel. I'm excited for him to share his story on Neva's show. And just thank you so much for coming on this show and sharing your journey. It's a remarkable thing. It's kind of it's kind of an out there concept, but I love the fact that you're boldly walking it, even when you don't know exactly where it's taking you. And I appreciate that. And we honor that journey.
Thank you so much, Tonya. It's been such an honor to be on the show.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, let's remind folks one more time where they can go to find out more about you.
They can go to thebackbender.com. We'll be up and running shortly. And in the meantime, they can go to my Facebook page, which is Ilana Bissonnette. And there's a lot of content there that I share about my journey and a lot of useful information, lots of videos, and so.
Awesome. Well, folks, if this is lighting you up or you have curiosity about it, go check out Ilana's stuff. And a big thank you for sharing that wisdom with us here today. We appreciate it. And to all of you out there, as always, we appreciate your loyalty. Until next time, go out, uncover your superpowers, and change the world. Take care, everyone.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the superpower quiz today.